That was small, kind of like what we said. Okay. But his actually wife and family is like selling their house.
Hi, Amanda.
Hey, John.
Doing great. How are you?
Good. I mean, I realistically came and felt the candy jar. Figured I'd wait. That's an action.
701 by this thing, so everybody's ready.
By the way,
To the flag of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right. Okay, so the first thing is to approve the minutes of the November 18th, 2025 Township Board regular meeting.
I move that we approve the meeting minutes from November 18th, 2025.
I'll support. Okay, any support? Yeah, thank you. Any discussion? Okay.
I wasn't here, but I think reappointment for Compensation Commission should read appointment to Compensation Commission.
Good. Thanks, John. We have to take that off, actually. We should just say, financial features, PDR, PC, and DDA. Oh, never mind, we did protocol. I guess we're good. Shelley, were you okay with changing reappointment to
Did we
appointment?
change anything? Oh,
I guess it's to appointment.
I move as amended.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Nays? Okay. All right, let's see, supervisor remarks, don't really have a whole lot today. I'm guessing Tony will give us the news about Donna and,
Well, I did send out a message to just about everybody. Donna has decided that she does want to retire, sort of, and relinquish her duties or diminish her duties as deputy clerk. And Elena Kalija has agreed to step up and do that job. So on the 11th, we gave them their oaths, and they are going forward. Sorry. Thank you, Dan. Did everyone hear me? Tony, okay, thank you. I also have a couple of things that I wanted the
Oh.
concerns of the.
Oh, yeah, we'll do that part in a minute.
Okay.
I just wanted to, because I would like to say thank you to Donna for putting up with us for so long and continuing to do so. And Elaine, like, hopefully Elaine will be happy too. So that's pretty much it for me. Okay. Approval of agenda. So I would actually, because of some of the time, you can tell we have a lot of things. So I would like to move C, D, and E, of 11, C, D, and E, to become A, B, and C. So we put those in the front of that. Of the other ones. Those are our three bigger ones, and we still have to like save time for the closed session part later. That would be my suggestion. I guess motion.
I have a comment.
Is that for the discussion of the action?
Just 11, so discussion slash action, possible action. Okay, yes.
Yeah, I probably had two. We had a vacancy on the roads committee for quite some time. As you know, Jeff Buchanan passed away like 3 months ago. David Daly, who's here, I'm meaning to talk to, is willing to be seated in that job. If you were willing.
Oh, no, yeah, you can appoint him.
We'll part nominate him and then we can do the appointment. I don't know if you have the terms as to what Jeff's term was. Yeah, so all right, fair enough. So he'll come up with an appointment at.
So you want to add 10F?
Or we could actually just lump it in with 10B.
Right.
We have one in there also where Tom Carroll's getting reappointed.
Oh, I see, okay. Add it to B.
Yeah, and the other topic I'd like to talk about is our legal retention policy. I don't know if we want to add that as in 11 someplace, or we could push it down to concerns of board members. I think the time.
You said our legal,
Retention policy and how that overlays with executive authority.
yeah,
What's been
that
done in
was
the
on my list
past?
too.
I don't have a new proposal, I just like to know where we stand today.
We don't, as I sent out the email to you, I believe, Grant, we do not at present have any policy. And so I think it would behoove the board to look into this and adopt a policy because this has become an issue lately.
Yeah, that's what I'd like to talk about. We don't have to do it here, but especially with John here and the history of the township as to.
If we, okay, do we really want to lengthen this?
I'm not expecting to go long. I would like to talk about where we think we are now. Maybe we can keep it to 5 minutes, but I think it's important we talk about this.
Of all the things on this list, us discussing the legal representation is a priority for me. The legal representation is a disaster for me all around. All the things, all the attorneys we have and everything that's going on, we need to clarify what's going on.
Agreed.
So,
I think
whether there's a policy or not.
I think what you want to do is add 11F, if that's what I'm hearing.
Yes.
Yeah. Or D, as the case may be, if we push it up.
Your comments are noted though, Tony. We don't have to drag on, but I think getting the conversation started is important. We only meet once a month. I don't want to wait till January.
And so what are we going to put this as then, in discussion as item A?
Yeah, I was going to do 11F. I had written down legal counsel retention policy. Unless Shelley, you have something?
I do believe, of course, that a policy would, help us support this in the future, but I think we can make some decisions about what's happening now without a policy.
Or legal counsel retention discussion.
Yeah. And where did we agree we were gonna put it? Because we have C, D, and E are A, B, and C now. So do we wanna make the legal discussion D, or do we wanna move it to A?
I'm fine any place. We can put it at the end.
So it's F.
Yeah, so we have A, B, C, D, E, F. So if we're in agreement, then I would move to approve the agenda as amended.
Okay, any other discussion? All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No.
No.
Okay. Because this is a long meeting. All right, but, let's see. Health to public. Okay. Health.
Good evening. My name is Jeff Lewis, 9620 Baseline Drive. And I'm here tonight to discuss the ordinance that's going to address private drives and, shared driveways and private drives. I recently bought this property, and one of the things I looked at was its access. And since we have a well-maintained road, winter and summer, the trees are cut back. I can tell that easement was put in quite some time ago, 50, 60, 70 years ago. I don't know the date, I haven't been there long enough. But I do know this, when that drive was approved, the township approved it. So now, I like this, I read, what you have in this agenda, and I understand that would be excellent for new roads and new shared driveways. But if you are trying to go back and address or change some of these roads that have been there for decades, I think that's a problem. And especially when you don't even provide a road to a lot of these houses, like me, for instance. I have to go about a quarter mile to get out to Gregor, which is, the approved county road. And about 95% of the residents in this township have a road in front of their house that is free to them as far as plowing, maintenance, and so on and so forth. But we do that ourselves. And for the township to come along and then do, they call like non-funded mandates or changes, I think is a problem. And I'm sure that you've looked at all this, and it's going to be okay, but I'm as a new owner, and I hear a lot of things just around the neighborhood that I'm not sure I could accept, And so I'm here tonight, so before anything is passed or whatever, that one shoe cannot fit all the feet. And I'm sure there's quite a few shared driveways in Webster Township, a lot of these private drives. And so I'm sure that you would have a way to tailor it so each one would be addressed appropriately, instead of one shoe fitting all. That's what I have tonight.
All right, thank you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Hi, long time no see. I'm Linda Los-Catal, and I live at 8723 Myrtle Court. And I wanted to thank you all for the support and the attention you've given to our private road situation, particularly Brent and Sri, who've been exceptionally helpful in terms of clarifying and getting things done on our behalf. I'm looking forward to an update. I'm also glad to see you here tonight, Sri, so I hope that indicates a permanency, because you've been very helpful. And I want to say, I think congratulations to Mr. Schreck, were you just elected to or chosen for the Senior Citizen Man of the Year? I'm not sure I read or understood the fine print, but you're now going to be in charge of the
I'm the president of the Dexter Senior Center.
Senior Center. Okay, well, as a senior, I'm looking forward to seeing what else you do.
Come on over.
Okay, now.
Everyone's welcome.
Okay, now I have to leave in another week to go to Texas for a few months, so I won't get to see all of you. Somebody has to go down and get Governor Abbott back on track. I mean, So I'm going to we're going to be down there. So I have these cookies I just would like to pass around because I've also read the minutes and I know what time you all leave here. And so I'm thinking that by around 10 o'clock you might want just a little something. So I'm going to pass this around. You help yourselves. I'm going to hang around for a while, but probably not until 10 to 12.
Oh, I get to make the bus big?
Well, thank you all.
Thank you.
Happy holidays.
Thank you. Okay, anyone else? Okay, seeing none, comments of board members? Oh.
Oh,
initial one was just what Grant addressed, I'm not sure how exactly that went down, but that we put on our agenda for discussion, a policy. We really need, let me tell you, a policy concerning this. And I would also like to see us compile, very much like our treasurer has, a list of approved attorneys that we can turn to and their specialties. Because I know that it's our supervisor's policy. In the past, we can back up to the Don Z days when he made the proclamation that only he was allowed to engage with the lawyer. Mr. Kingsley kept that going. Mr. D'Angelo does not feel that way. He feels that everyone who sits around this board, as well as members of our commissions and the CBA, should have access to a lawyer as they see the need. And that's why I would propose putting this on the agenda in January, when we can look to other, after we have had an opportunity to look to other townships and see what's available, or to the MTA and see what's available. If you'd like to start the conversation, that's fine too. I don't expect to come to any decisions this evening. And then I would really, really, really like us to send an information language to the Planning Commission, the CBA, whoever is appropriate, to distinguish for us what is the difference, if any, between a boundary adjustment and a division of property. Now, I know that literally there's a difference, but we have conflicting, our ordinance conflicts with our land, our zoning ordinance conflicts with our land division ordinance, and this is starting to come up now. So those are my concerns.
Does anybody want to address the comments from Mr. Lewis in that?
For the road?
Yeah, because right now, with grandfather, his concern, I think, is addressed through the grandfather process that's existing. There's an existing.
Yeah, go ahead, Sheree.
Oh.
Yeah, we'll get to it, but yeah, go right.
I was just going to offer my contact so that I can talk to you about what the draft is trying to do, what the plan is. Without getting into the detail, the plan today is to go over the draft, and then once, if it's in a form that's able to be presented, shared, we will have an open house where it will be open for public, where it will be a little bit of an interactive kind of a session to hear from you, and then respond to your questions at the time before it gets adopted. So there will be another opportunity where you can have an opportunity to dig through the draft, ask questions, and get answers.
At the high level, though, any existing private road or shared driveway that's existing now, it will be grandfathered into existence. If there's a split or other things that come up, then we talk.
Right.
But if you're there now, you're living intent as written, as everything will be grandfathered.
I think I spoke with one of the residents on Base Lake. All the lots on Base Lake are so small, they don't have the potential to be split anymore. And the idea of the current draft is that they're all grandfathered, would not require any upgrades, unless somebody comes in and asks for a split request. Even at that moment, it will be a case-by-case determination how much of an upgrade will be needed. So it's not same set of standards, it will be up to board's discretion, case by case, if somebody is asking to split.
I'm just asking, if we go on your website, will we be able to see the upcoming meetings and so forth? Okay.
Yes, so the pop-up will show when the next meeting is. The board usually meets every third Tuesday. And then the notices and the agenda and the packets are also available online. Feel free to grab my card on your way out, and then we can stay in touch.
comments of board members, and I want the audience to understand that Sri is not a board member.
Oh, yeah, that's why I guess.
Good, so leaving that part. Right.
Yeah, that might request. But get John's point well.
Right. Okay. Any other comment to board member? Okay. Let's see, treasurer report, please.
Good evening. Open my remarks. So I'd like to start by drawing your attention to the report of the cash summary by fund, which is page 7 of the board packet. That report shows the fund balances as of the end of November. I wanted to emphasize that because that is the last day before we start winter tax collection. And so therefore, for most funds, that number that you see in the report is what I refer to as the low water mark for the year. There is an exception with respect to the local road fund, and that's due to the fact that the road commission sent the final bill very late this year, and that bill has not yet been paid. It'll be paid this week, later this week. So that balance is actually higher than what we might have expected to see on that day. I would like to say that I think that we need to understand the mechanics and the cost allocation for the Joy Road culvert, and then we need to understand how we're going to pay for that. Regarding the revenue and expenditures report, which is on page 10 of the board packet, if you look at the summary line for Department 966, that department is over budget by $400,000.
Hold on, John, but now, oh, I got it.
It's the
Operating, yeah, sorry, go ahead.
yeah, Department 966 is the operating transfer. The reason it shows over budget by $400,000 is because the budget amendment that was on the agenda for last month did not happen, and it's on the agenda again this month. And last but not least, we're 2/3 of the way through the fiscal year, and if you exclude the transfer from the general fund to the capital fund, our expenses are at 61% of the budget as amended. Those are my comments for this evening. As always, if you have any questions, comments, or advice, I'm ready for it.
I think it looks good by me. Tony has the explicit language.
I was just thinking about that. I actually do have something I'd like to request of John. There's and this gets down in the weeds, so forgive me. There's a report that's in the general ledger that's a check register. I would like to talk with you and Amanda on how to modify that slightly so that your check register report will include payroll expenditures and the money that we send to the IRS for FICA matches and MERS matches. And that's what you don't see in this budget right now. And very good reason it's been deleted in the past is because it has people's names in it. And we have to figure out a way to get those names out so we can just report a payroll figure and these matching numbers. I think the board needs a handle on how much human resources costs. That's all.
Okay, so just for the rest of your information, there's a check register report that's available in the general ledger module that Tony referenced. That report includes everything. The check register report that this board has been receiving since probably before Carol became the treasurer prior to me, is the report that runs out of accounts payable, which includes everything except payroll. The payroll module doesn't get pulled into that, and we have not included that for the reasons mentioned, confidentiality of our employees. If you do want to know that information, all of that information is included in the revenue and expenditures report, and you can see it by department, so you can know exactly what payroll money is going for which department, and if you thought about it a couple minutes, you could figure out to which people.
Okay. Any other questions about the treasurer? Oh, wait, no, we have to do this.
We have to,
Motion.
we have to do-
Fran was asking, yeah.
I would move to accept the treasurer's report and pay bills, as well as those anticipated bills received before our next meeting, scheduled for January 20th, 2026.
I'll support. Okay. Any other discussion? Okay.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. Consent agenda. The only thing I was wondering, because I saw that stuff at the end, Brant, when we were talking about, that stuff about extra money. Did you guys want to tell us anything about it right now, or it's okay?
We can't, extra money being,
Goodness, the road,
Yeah,
the correspondence.
yeah, I can get the high level summary. The road commission, as John's pointed out in the past, has been 10 to 15% under budget, always when they come to bill. So this year, we had a surplus of like 115,000. 60,000 of that went right to Strawberry Lake Road. The original estimate from Strawberry Lake was only for 3 inches of limestone. They were able to use the additional 60 to get the 6.
Okay,
So then, even with that, we then had a surplus of 50,000.
so 50, okay.
So I remember Dan had commented that we were going to try to use that to put some extra gravel or limestone on Gregory, but weather precipitated that, and now we're,
Got it, okay.
that's it.
Thank you. Okay, anything else to talk about consent agenda or a motion to approve it?
I
would
did
like-
have a, I'm sorry.
Go ahead, Dan.
If I may, please,
Yes.
just, there's no official fire report. I received that from the chief on Saturday late afternoon. I forwarded it on to board on Sunday. So I apologize, I'm not sure why it was delayed, but you all should have received that by email.
Thank you.
Yeah, I had some notes. I meant to ask about this during the discussion about the agenda, because I did notice that in the consent agenda on this agenda, we don't have any reference to a sheriff's report, a ZBA report, a fire department report, and I'm wondering if there's anything else that was missing. I think there's been 2 ZBA meetings. Well, actually, the second to last one was just days before our last board meeting, but I haven't seen any official draft minutes for that meeting or the meeting since then.
John, those are both points of contention, let's say. For the November 14th meeting, the minutes were never finalized. And we don't have anything for the one that was held on the 4th yet.
Don't we usually receive draft minutes? They don't have to be final minutes. No, I mean the board though, in the consent agenda, the minutes we get like from the planning commission aren't the approved minutes, they're the draft minutes from the last meeting.
We received nothing.
Okay.
And the sheriff report is a lot like the fire department report. It was yesterday, I think. I got it. And, yeah, it was really
I mean,
great.
we could put lines in that just say nothing received or no report received at that. Just having the placeholders will put your mind at ease better.
Well, if somebody goes back and looks at our meeting minutes a year from now or 5 years from now, I think it's probably good that it shows that we were expecting a sheriff's report but didn't get it. The way it is written now, there's no reference to it at all. Anyway, sorry, I meant to say that during the agenda portion.
Okay. Okay.
I do have one comment on the trees report.
Okay.
I guess it was on page 19 of your packet. She talks about here zoning administration and enforcement policy, and part of this was piqued my interest. I've had some discussions with Chuck relative to the Merkle Road question, and I've also talked to our engineer Ted Erickson about some figures that aren't documented or listed in our current private roads ordinance, to see if you could track that down for us. But Sri, could you give us a little background on what you're getting at in item 2 there on page 19?
I think essentially I just wanted to bring attention that, like Tony mentioned before about, how things started with Don Zeeb and then they've just been evolving. Similar thing happens with zoning administrator and zoning enforcement has, there was no set policy or set guidance. Whoever stepped into the role has came up with their own way of doing things. And I've seen 3 enforcement officers since I started, and then I noticed that each has their own way of doing things. And then my observation is that there should be some set policy as when an enforcement should be pursued. Is it just based on enforcement policy, or what's the chain of command? Just a general consistent guidance so that whoever steps into the role at least has, like how to approach when they receive a complaint and who to go to for certain questions.
My view, Tony, we can add this to our long list of policies that we want to put together. My concern is we work so hard on ordinances, and I've had discussions with various enforcement officers here through the years, and I often heard the comment, I can't enforce that. And if that's true, I'd like to find out why. We should have a policy that addresses that.
Okay, I see.
All right, motion to approve the consent agenda, please.
I'll make that motion.
Second.
Okay. Any other discussion? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay. We have a guest with us this evening who's going to talk about the LASA MOU. That would be you.
Thank you so much. Thank you, Supervisor DeAngelo. Can you all hear me okay?
Okay.
Great. My name is Jessica Flintoff. I'm the clerk of Webster Township. I've had the pleasure of serving since 2019 and served with Jeff, Mike, and Tony on the LASA board, the Loch Alpine Sanitary Authority board. Before that, I served with Supervisor Kingsley, John Westman, and then clerk Barbara Kaleja. So I'm just here, Mike and I discussed that you all might have some questions about the agreement for services, and so I'm here to provide a little bit of background and answer any questions. Would you like me to give some background or just start off with questions?
Well, this for you, because you would ask questions about like the services for the IT. So did you have anything particular or just like Jessica?
Thank you for being here, Jessica. Yeah, the item from numeral 2, compensation loss will pay SIO, is just very vague. So what are the costs that we would be, that LASA would be incurring? They're all direct IT costs, consultant fees, licenses, software, hardware, billed and paid. There's no reference to what those are.
Sure. So the setup of this in 2024 and into 2025 totaled $3,336.50. So $3,300 is what LASA paid SIO's IT contractors, really CTC. No SIO staff people were being paid. And I'd like to, that was kind of the setup necessary. There have been no ongoing costs. I don't anticipate any ongoing costs until something breaks or something needs to be replaced. So that's why it's direct cost. So the LASA is in a segregated portion of the server at SIO, which was fully rebuilt. We used our ARPA money to redo our network and rebuild our server. We took that opportunity in 2024 when we first had an agreement with LASA to start hosting the IT for LASA. Prior to then, LASA's data had been on 2 laptops. One was at the wastewater treatment plant. One was being carried around by the then consultant, sporadically backed up. None of us felt good about that security. And so now LASA's data, which includes the 3 modules from BSNA, the general ledger, AP, and utility billing, are stored in a segregated space on the Scioto Township server. So we use the same care and maintenance, Scioto Township, on the LASA portion of that. So the ongoing costs, Trustee Menzel, are really typically $0. Again, it's just going to be if and when any equipment needs to be replaced.
And do you anticipate contractual cost increases with those vendors that are providing those services?
Sure. I mean, I don't have any specifics. Most contractors of those sorts are going up 3 to 5% each year. But I wouldn't, again, there aren't any hours of those contractors being used directly for LASA. Until there's a problem that's specific to LASA, there wouldn't be an additional IT cost. I would say it's possible, but I've been hard pressed to imagine the scenario where, just one little portion of our server goes down. It's going to be the whole server that goes down or explodes or whatever the case is. I also don't expect it to explode. I'm just putting it on. I know. So we did invest. So we have weekly IT calls with our provider and always prioritizing things. I'm sincere when I say I can't imagine an ongoing issue, an issue that would pop up that would cost LASA and not just be absorbed by SIO. It would have to be something extraordinary.
I have a question, and it's regarding how you apportion these fees that are annual fees, like the BSNA modules, and I'm sure there's, like Bill would be more acquainted with this, the IT, all the hosting fees for websites and so on that you have. How are you envisioning, because I get what Dan is saying here, it's not itemized in any way. How do you envision apportioning that to LASA?
Yeah, thank you for the question. Website hosting and the BSNA modules are outside of this. LASA pays for those directly. So LASA pays for their own BSNA modules as well as its own website as well as its own email. So SIO does not host any of LASA's data aside from the data that is contained within those BSNA modules. So we don't provide any emails or anything like that. The LASA distribution list is something we can just do for free, so we do that. But it's no additional cost.
So I'm sorry, one final
Yeah.
question. Would you anticipate that the 3,300 is going to go up, go down, go about the same?
That was a one-time cost to build it. I would anticipate that will not repeat.
So it should be lower unless there's some issue that goes on.
Sure, I would imagine if an issue came up that was specific to LASA, it might be 1 or 2 hours most of someone's time, so maybe a max of $500. I would also say the alternative, it would be for LASA to build its own server, build its own infrastructure, which of course is expensive. So we felt from Scioto Township's perspective, we were fortunate enough to be able to invest in a new server backup. It was not a big deal to apportion part of that space for LASA.
Thank you.
Thank you. The other components are the cash handling and receiving for LASA and the accounts payable, and those are the new services. And again, that is a monthly charge, which is repeated for LASA, and that's based on our cost allocation formula that we use use for our other funds, apportioning those services. LASA customers have for decades, for as far back as I can see, always dropped off their payments to Scioto Township Hall. And we handle them, we hold on to the checks. We had no ability to deposit them, they sat around. It was not secure, it was not efficient. And then also accounts payable was being carried out by our contractor, Woodhill, but that was not within their scope of services anyway. So this is something we're able to handle at Scioto Township now. And LASA, as your 3 board members here who are members of LASA know, LASA has an accounts payable policy which we follow and a cash receiving policy which we follow as well. From the customer's experience, it's so much better because now they can walk in and say, hey, what was my last utility bill? What was that penalty for? And we can actually answer their questions instead of putting them off, and also get the money in the bank more securely and more quickly.
So if I'm at LASA, how do I know what my bank account is today, or if a customer paid today or not?
Sure. You're saying if you're at LASA?
If I'm a LASA board member,
Sure.
or I'm the LASA treasurer, I don't know who that is.
Sure.
How
Yeah, we
would,
don't have one.
how would they know?
Yeah.
How would they know how much money is in the bank and what bills are due and which customers have paid?
Sure. So anybody who's authorized by the LASA board to remote into the BSNA modules can do that. We use remote desktop, so it's not connected to the physical space. So if anybody here in Webster Township had any of those responsibilities, you could remote right into that from here or anywhere needed. Currently, LASA contracts with the Woodhill Group in order for the accounting services. So 2 of them remote into the LASA BSNA. They also carry out the utility billing, which is a big function for LASA. So they do all of that by remoting into the LASA BSNA modules that are hosted physically on the Scioto server. Within Scioto Township, for example, when our treasurer Ryan or his deputy brings in a receipt and needs to receipt it in, he just remotes in to it and receipts it in. When we run accounts payable, we do the same thing, remoting in.
Is Ryan the LASA treasurer?
No, Ryan Yapel is the Scioto Township treasurer.
I know Ryan.
And apologies, of course you do. No, LASA has no designated treasurer, and that was per the Articles of Incorporation. It is in fact contracted to Woodhill, who does the regular financial reporting for it. LASA has, through this agreement, contracted with Scioto Township in order to receipt in the cash, but not to do the utility billing or financial reporting.
How much money is flowing through LASA per year? Roughly.
I apologize. I should be able to answer that right now. It's in the hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Okay. And there's no treasurer.
So that's another conversation. I am with you on that and had that point of view, but majority rules, and that's okay. In fact, LASA has long contracted out for the same services that Woodhill has done before. Before that, it was an independent contractor, and there wasn't a treasurer then either.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, I do. There is sufficient segregation of duties, though. So.
All right, thank you, Jeff.
Okay, sure.
So, okay, because I'm on LASA, we already voted on this, would like to move that Webster Township enter into the MOU with Scioto Township.
Is that per a particular agreement for services?
Oh, the one, the agreement for services, that is in our packet. It doesn't have a date, I would say a date, but this is November 1st.
support.
Any discussion? Okay, all right, contract.
Aye.
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 Thank you. All right, next. Okay, oh, appointments, okay, let's go to appointments.
May I make a motion?
Yeah.
I'd like to move, appoint Dave Daly to the road committee.
Second. Did you want to do Thomas too, Carol too?
He's for,
Roads.
he's for, yes, I do.
Okay. That's what you threw me a little bit. Are you okay with the second? Yeah. Okay, all right.
What is the term? I missed that.
They're three-year terms.
Three-year terms.
Yeah, but it's staggered, we'll have to look that up. He's sitting for Jeff Buchanan's, and I think Jeff is probably expiring, could be at 26. I don't know if you have that.
Did you get a second?
Yeah, we do.
Okay.
Oh, what do you got? Term.
Is it on the website?
Should be on the contact list too.
Yeah, Jeff Buchanan's already been taken off, so I don't have to find him somewhere else.
You have the next older version?
No, I'm not,
Oh, okay.
I'm not remote there, so I'm just on the website. I will have to get that.
We still take action here, or do we need that?
I think we could say to finish out Jeff Buchanan's term.
Yeah, that would help. I think that would work. Okay. Okay, so motion. Any other discussion about those? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The park committee, I'll do the park committee. Jeff Black would like to be reappointed. So to a 3-year term. This is to expire in 2025, but that doesn't make sense. To the parks committee, but I will
2028.
2028. So I would like to move to reappoint Jeff for a 3-year term to expire in December 2028 to the Parks Committee.
I support.
Any discussion? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So I didn't know if you guys knew this, but, so the Park Committee still needs another person, and they would like to see if one of us would want to join them. So if you want to just think about it, we don't have to do anything tonight, but let me know, Jeff. No. All right. Okay, that was that. Then we have a lot. That's Tony.
Yes, and we have a gentleman from LASA. He's currently the president of the LAIA, well, I take that back, the vice president of the LAIA, Lockout Fund Improvement Authority, it's their HOA. He has volunteered to serve on the LASA board, and he also has a recommendation from another LASA, another Lockout Pine resident. And I would like to recommend him for appointment in my place to the LASA board. His name is Brian, B-R-Y-A-N, Cole.
So I will second that. And discussion, please.
I think it's a bad idea. And the reason why is there's already a representative for LAIA on the LASA board. There's been a lot of discussion about having representation only for LAIA and not for the other two subdivisions that are there. So I would be against putting a second LAIA member on that board.
Do you feel that they would somehow not represent all of the residents, or could not represent all of the residents in the 3 subdivisions?
I can't attest to that, whether or not they can or not, but I would think if we're gonna get somebody else from that area that is involved with LAIA or involved with LASA, the simple fact is we should talk to the people that run the other 2 subdivisions and see if they wanna put somebody on it, so they can have representation and maybe share it.
How many of the acronym? Lock Alpine, what's that?
Improvement Authority,
Yeah.
LAI is Lock Alpine Improvement Authority
Association.
Association.
Okay.
Is there a requirement within the LASA bylaws in terms of who is representing?
So the way they are now, well, there aren't any bylaws, so it's articles of incorporation. Three appointed by
Governing
us.
document.
So 3 appointed by us. Well, actually not, it's actually a little weirder. Tony and I are automatically on it, as is Jessica and Jill. And then we have a third, I think it says board member. So each of us have a board member. They have Ryan, we have Jeff. And then there's one person that the, I guess like Black Alpine as a whole would appoint, but she was here before me. So, but it's very strange. So the 2 of us are on it unless we do not want to be on it, in which case we the way it says now, we're probably working on it, is we appoint our replacements with the approval of our representative board. And you can pick anyone, apparently. You have to be in Webster Township, but, so that's why.
Right.
And this particular gentleman is in Webster Township.
And he's also familiar with all of the woes and complaints and everything that's wrong with their water and sewer service. So I think he could represent pretty well their position on the board, and I think he could do it objectively. Given that everything he does, he's inflicting upon himself. We can sit there, make judgments, spend money, and we have no skin in that game, Jeff. We aren't serviced by their water or their sewer.
I'm aware of that. That's also why I wanted somebody else from one of the other subdivisions.
Well, do you want to hold off on this then and see if you can, or one of us, I guess it's my responsibility, recruit someone from one of the other 2?
Sure, I think we should talk to them and ask, and
Okay.
I don't know if we know who their associations are, or the contacts of their associations, but
Well, we should be able to find out.
Linda, and I'm not sure what the second one is.
You look like you want to talk.
Yeah.
I would like to point out that LASA serves, well, you probably know the total number of homes, let's call it 700.
535.
Okay, 535. And of the 535, probably 480
It's 80%.
are Lock Alpine. So yes, it may be fair to have additional representation from the 2 other neighboring subdivisions, but then they are extremely overweighted in their authority relative to the other representatives. So probably, if if LASA wants to, think about it, it should be a more proportional basis. And, then maybe LASA has 3 more representatives to the 1 from each Glen Devon and North Ohio Hills. But
Well,
I think,
that's sort of another discussion, though, Dan, and I'm sorry for cutting you off. That's another discussion about amending and changing their articles, because their articles address membership on the board now. And I fully agree that that board should probably be bigger. There's too much work involved in getting them into shape, as Jeff understands now. But what we're dealing with this evening is just replacing me, because I am stepping down. So we can either go Jeff's route and see if there's even any interest in the other two subs, or we can go forward and appoint Brian Cole, because he has expressed interest. Either way is fine with me as the person stepping down, but I don't know how this board feels.
Can I ask how he expressed interest? How did he even know?
I believe he was contacted by Andrea Dorney.
Yeah, I had asked Andrea and too, what I could think of, to come up with some names if they found any. So,
Yeah, I believe this is,
from Andrea, I think.
it's from Andrea. And she is the one who said she would check. We would prefer they're from Webster Township. She would ask, and Mr. Cole replied. Apparently she sent out like an email blast or something, and he replied. We could verify with her that email, or however she contacted folks, what went to the other two subdivisions too. Whatever you'd like to do, we can postpone this until January. We can appoint. It makes no difference to me, but I am off board.
Yeah, and Brian has served on the Lock Upland board for many terms, done a good job. And I just wanted to point out that, the numbers, so people,
Oh, I know the numbers.
well,
Yeah.
others may not.
Okay.
Okay, well, weirdly enough, it's your choice.
Well, if it's my choice, given the need on that board for ideas and workload distribution, I would like to get it done sooner than later. But especially you, if you're sitting on that board, if you feel we should wait and canvass, then fine.
I'm one voice here, Tony.
It doesn't matter. You're one very important voice, because you sit on the LASA board too,
Is there a term associated with?
our term.
Okay. so
With
like
Andrea,
Andrea has her own, but yeah, ours, it's weird, ours is tied to our term.
term. So I think that his then would have to follow that. But that's a good question. That's a very
So,
good
so
question.
your motion should probably be amended to include that?
Yes, it should be to complete the current term. Which, by the way, expires on the election in November of 2026. So at that point, you could try this again.
I'm fine with the motion's already been made. Those are my concerns.
Okay, yeah, the motion would be amended then to finish out my term on the LASA board.
Anyone else like to discuss it? Okay, guess would be all in favor.
Who seconded it?
Oh,
Oh, I'm sorry.
somebody had to.
Yeah, I'm just-
To start there. Yeah, I'll start.
And you accepted the amendment?
Yeah. Okay, so all in favor?
Aye.
All opposed?
Nay.
Aye.
Nay.
Nay.
Okay, well, thank you for all those. So Tony again, Wolverine office furniture quote.
Well, this is This is the furniture quote we have from the local company that we worked with for the election office, for Bill Sincool, the assessor's office. You have in here, I believe, their quote and their design. Now, some of that obviously is existing storage. They will install it, haul away the trash, and you can see the shipping on there. Do you have any questions about that?
I was just surprised there's no model numbers. It doesn't really say exactly what you're buying.
Excuse me, but I guess this right here, you know, you're such a pill sometimes. This was decided upon by them. Bill and what is his name? Connor? Anyway, the Wolverine rep got together and landed on a design, and this is the furniture that will go with it. I think that what you're asking, the CB desk shelf is probably their model name, not the model number. They don't list all the parts because they get down into we need 6 brackets and we need 5 bolts and whatever. Bill, are you familiar with what they're offering here? The quality, is it similar to the quality that went into the, yes, into the election office, yes.
So is Bill's current office staying the way it's set up? Is that all staying in there? That's not?
No.
That's all moving?
Yeah.
And are we gonna have to have new furniture for your old room as well? or
No, Chuck's gonna,
No, Chuck?
That's what I meant, is
he's gonna move his.
his stuff is moving into there?
Yeah, the enforcement officer, when he took over, found that setup, you're welcome to look at it, that he works from, and the intent is just to move him into the current assessor's office, and then to give Bill a bigger area. He's sort of smashed in there now with all of the files that go with assessing.
So Bill, you'll be comfortable with this for the next 30 years?
I think so.
I believe it's ADA compliant for when he needs that wheelchair, but I'm not sure.
Bathroom floating.
Mike, you're good with this? You looked at it? Yeah.
And we probably will have to amend to increase the budget line for furniture because of this too. To sort of head on Mr. Sharp's next question. I would like to move that we approve the quote for $4,000.02 from Wolverine Commercial Furnishings for the furnishing of the assessor's office, newly created assessor's office.
Second?
Discussion. Okay, let's see. Shelley?
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. So the budget amendment, John?
So I would move that we amend line item 101-966-995.401 from 200,000 to 600,000, and line item 401-000-699.000 from 200,000 to 600,000.
Second.
More discussion?
Yeah, John, can you explain to us what this is about? Because it was a little bit confusing last time. So just like on 5.
So 2 months ago, this body approved a budget amendment on the spending line in capital improvement. and authorize me to move $400,000 from one bank to another bank, one fund to another fund. What this body did not do at that time is actually amend the two lines that I'm proposing we amend, which have the money actually leave the general fund and enter the capital improvement fund. So as I referenced in my treasurer's report, if you look at the summary on the revenue and expenditures line, that department, the second three digits is the department 966, is over budget by 400,000 because the original budget did not envision this $400,000 move. So now we're 300% of budget. If we don't amend that line item, the township will get a nasty letter from the state of Michigan and I'll go to treasurer's jail.
Do you need a break?
I might get a cookie.
The discussion last time was, we didn't know we knew where it was going.
I
Where it was
understood what
coming
we
from.
did, I just didn't understand.
It was,
Now
yeah,
that
it
totally
was
makes sense to me, yeah.
two lines and it was incomplete.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
It's the second half of what we should have done 60 days ago.
Yes.
Okay. All right, any other discussion? Okay. Right.
Oh, sorry, aye. Aye. I've already moved on to the next topic, sorry. Aye. Aye. Aye, sorry.
Aye.
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 Okay. All right.
I found it all entertaining, the discussion, but I
So, we have invoices from O'Neill, finally, which you should all have in your packet.
What's the difference between what's in the packet and what's on the
The
table?
one on the table is newer.
Oh, the one on the table.
That's
Okay.
a
We
possession.
have them.
Meaning, what's the difference?
balanced the
They had
finish.
accidentally put in landscaping in the original one, and obviously we're not gonna landscape right now, so we adjusted it. So the one on the table is the new version.
So the one that's blue is the actual. So they were asking for 275 before, now it's 270.
$272.19.30, yeah.
I was around.
I have a question. How come the architect portion of this is not filled out? Because it's the architect's responsibility to certify that this is accurate.
Well, that's a good question,
Was
because
the other one signed?
No.
Okay, I would like to move that we pay the O'Neill invoice in the amount of $270,000, $270,219.30, pending signature by our architect, I believe his name is David Esau, approving it.
I would second that.
more discussion. Okay.
So,
Yeah, go ahead.
this is similar to what we were getting for the fire hall, which is why it's coming up.
Okay.
So we gotta make sure that the architect,
He was sitting right
Signs
here
off
when
on
they
that.
presented it, I'm not sure why
Yeah,
it
I
wasn't
don't-
signed.
Yeah, I signed it while we were all. Okay. Yeah, pending. Okay. Okay. Sally, please.
Aye.
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 Okay, thank you. All right, now, discussion item. So, private roads, Tree, take it away.
Okay. At the last meeting, I think we've made good progress with Article 1, 2, and 3 that talks about definitions and standards for new private roads and shared driveways and the procedures for applying road permit and other maintenance agreement, the procedural things that essentially guide the new roads. Article 4 talks about what happens with the existing non-conforming roads. So when we're looking at existing non-conforming roads, there are two things that can happen with them. One, there might be some pre-existing vacant lots where all people wanted to just build a house, and the board adopted an amendment that is currently effective, which will allow them to build a house on a vacant lot. And we'll send a letter of, just so you know, to all the residents on the private road indicating that it is indicating the non-conforming status and their options if they choose to go with. The reason why I'm specifying that because I have either received or got confirmation to receive permits from 4 residents, and they're very grateful for the amendment. So I just wanted to share that. With regards to Article 4, at the last meeting, the board looked at the two possibilities when somebody's trying to split a property. The split may result into 2 parcels, 3, 4, any number, it doesn't matter. So the board looked at, okay, when a property owner is splitting a property, then we are dividing that road into 2 sections. The section in green is that abuts the property that's being split, and then the section in the red is remaining property that friends on existing property owners. And there were 2 scenarios that were discussed. One where the split doesn't involve any extension, and then the second scenario was when the split doesn't involves an extension. And then we talked about required improvements that are required for the green portion. And then the board talked about discretionary improvements that may be required for the red portion. So the goal, I went back, took the comments, and then came up with a flow chart. And what I'm looking from the board tonight is to verify, review and confirm if that captured your previous discussion and if there are any comments with the text as presented. That's what the expectation is for Article 4. Article 5, it always is left behind, like we've been going between 1, 2, 3, 4, 3 and 4, 2 and 3. We never gave that greater attention, but as the board can recall, the couple of public comments we've received, be it Merkle Court or Reinhardt Drive or others, the challenges the residents have been having was with not able to get existing residents to get on a maintenance agreement. So I think maybe if possible, if the board can get take a look at Article 5 and then maybe at least discuss the potential of enforcement or enforcing a maintenance agreement. So the way I envision, or I captured the discussion, is that we have discretionary improvements. I know the thing is not clear, but you can look at your packets. So they are kind of two parallel events that will happen. When you receive an application for a land division, the green area would require a private road permit because the applicant is the only one responsible for that area. And then we have the discretionary improvements, which is for the remaining part of it. So the discretionary improvements, as soon as we get the application, that should include an existing survey that shows the current conditions of the road. Then we initiate a site inspection to identify shortcomings and required upgrades. And for required improvements, parallelly, there will be a road permit that's been issued. It's been sent to the engineer and for planning review, for zoning review, and then the engineer for the engineering review, and we have the reviews back. Now the processes come together at a board meeting. At that board meeting, the board is looking at two questions. One is determination of discretionary improvements. What kind of improvements may be required for the remaining, so that, based on the findings of fact that we discussed. And then the second question is a review and approval of the road permit for the green area for required improvements. And at that point, depending on how the board looks at it, the processes again run parallel. The road permit will be looked at just as a new road. They can get approval with a variance. They do have the option for deferral of construction, the usual stuff. And then if they are able to do the green part, then the land division approval can be issued, so that we're not holding the applicant from a land division until the discretionary thing that the timing of it may be unknown. We're not holding the applicant on that. So for the discretionary improvements, there are two ways the board decided can go. It's a case-by-case basis, and it all depends upon, the intent is to keep it consistent with the standards of review and the findings of fact and all the checks and balances. So there are two ways the discretionary improvements determination can go. One, which is highly most probable based on the discussion, that there are upgrades for board discretion. They can be as minimum as clear the shrubs, widen the road, or do another layer of gravel. It could be anything. It could be any one of the standards from Article 3 that makes sense to keep the road safe. And then the second option is something the board wanted to keep in the ordinance, is where they require a full compliance per Article 3. This would be when the road is, again, based on the findings of fact, if the road is in really bad shape and it's generating a lot of issues for safety and all the other conditions, that the board may require a full compliance for Article 3. If the board decides the first option, then from that point on, it's mostly administrative review. The applicant will be required to submit some conceptual plans that captures the board's conditions, and then the review will happen administratively, and then we would wrap it up. If the board does require full compliance, then we pause, and then a road permit application will be required for the board approval. So the land that has been split, a final certificate of occupancy may not be received until the discretionary improvement process is complete. That's the gist of the process that was captured, but there are certain questions that still need to be discussed and addressed. The obvious one is the one in red. When a full compliance for Article 3 is required, we still have the same questions we have based on the current ordinance. How do we help the resident work with the existing neighbors who may or may not be willing to come into a maintenance agreement or grant any easements or allow removal of trees in front of their houses. So that is still a challenge that needs to be addressed. That's the gist of the flow diagram. Before we actually go into the actual language, I just wanted to explain the process to make sure if you think I captured the discussion well, or if there's anything, or we can go straight to language.
Thanks, Ree.
Good visual.
Yeah, in my view, the most active paths are going to be, so you can scroll down the street. You go, yeah, just the leftmost path on discretionary, the discretionary from the board, and then on the approval side is with variance. Because even when they put, 4 splits on, a road that has houses on each side of it, asking that road to come all the way up to our full standard, I think is generally going to be a reach. But the ordinance has the variance process in there. It talks about practical difficulties, reasonableness, and so on.
Right.
Where the center 2 aisles there, I think, are few and far between we get to. Unless it's a complete independent new build with no homes around.
Right.
So Brant, does that mean you think we shouldn't have, you think it's okay the way it is, as long as we have the variance?
Yeah, no, I think all you have to check and balance in there for the variance on the right-hand side, and then we have similar standards of review for the left-hand side.
So the primary difference between the flexibility offered for the right-hand side versus left-hand side is the right-hand side is variance, which is more practical difficulty and hardship based, but the flexibility for the left-hand side, because it's discretionary and it involves other people's buy-in, those are not as strict as the variance for the right-hand side. They are a little bit more.
What section is that for the left-hand side?
4.5. So it would be where it talks about when it's inadequately made, B.
What paragraph are you on here?
So it's type of improvements B is where the findings of facts in support of such events. So it's a combination of A and B. So when it is inadequately maintained and fails to provide safe access, conditions constituting inadequate maintenance, history of.
Yeah.
So those are the reasons which will determine you if any improvements are required. Then the second set of standards will help you to figure out what kind of improvements are required. And those 4 kind of give you the standards of review for the flexibility, that the improvements minimize creation or continuation of non-conforming structures or conditions, are designed to protect natural features, vegetation, environmental resources. There are some easement restrictions or physical constraints.
Yeah, fair enough. We talked about this last meeting.
Yeah.
Shelley said she liked
Right. So those standards didn't change. They're exactly what you agreed on, and the edits were made live. The only big kind of eye-opening thing when I went back to update the draft is when you require full compliance, what happens then? It's essentially, taking them through a road permit process. Oh, and this also didn't change. When you have a shared driveway that's going from the number 3 to 4, then the entire thing needs to be applied for a road permit. So 4.3, the language didn't change from your last draft. Maybe I might have corrected an end or a comma here or there. I did add access way wherever we've said access before. And then the images are more colorful now.
Sure, I'm not seeing that being carried across the access way act.
Oh, if you see something missing, that was not intentional, but I can. Where do you see it?
Well, starting in we can cover those
Okay,
later.
yeah, if you can, yeah.
And
Mark
then,
was-
I then wonder, do we need to define access way?
So I did update the definition to refer to that as a non-conforming access way. But maybe,
But I think it's used in a manner which is just saying it's access.
I think I took care of that, but I'll take a look at it. But if you can give me your comments, it seems like most like cleanup.
Yep.
I can take care of that.
Thank you.
Oh, another quick update. I know we're not talking 2, 3, but we did update the table for the gravel base and sub-base and then the images as well. After talking to Ted. I can get to that later. I don't want to distract, so. Okay, going back to Article 4. 4.1, 4.2, no change. It's the same language as before. 4.3, no change. I will address Dan's comments regarding consistency about the term access way.
3, under 4.3A2,
Okay.
if you look down there, it says section 4.A point. Is that just
One.
4A?
1. It's the subsection 4.A1. And then we have the image.
Wait.
I'm sorry.
Oh, sorry, Sherry, just because I'm now, Jeff. So, Jeff, could you point that one out? one more
Here,
time?
it's right there.
It's right there.
Oh, because it can't be 4.A something.
It's
Doesn't that be 4
A1,
point something, then an A?
4.3A1.
3.
Oh, yes.
Okay, thank you. That was.
Thank you.
Hmm.
There is also a question why you think about this is that right now I just pointed out that applicant proposing the lot split shall be responsible for obtaining and completing all improvements unless the board determines otherwise. Just wanted to make sure I get your attention on that statement. Because the draft is proposing all the requirements and improvements, asking for, but we haven't yet specified who is the responsible party, so I think that's something that cannot be ignored. Okay, so 4.4 is the review. It is consistent with the flow chart. I'm just going to pause on each section to see if each subsection to see if anybody had any comments.
Yeah, I'm good until we get to section 5.
Okay, so this is just essentially the green part, and this would be the red part. That's what we're saying, that when you receive a land division, we would need to, we're starting 4. Okay. Moving on, initiate site inspection. This is another question I wanted to bring your attention to. Right now, it just says that the cost of inspection shall be borne by the township. Just a couple of items for your consideration. If we require that the inspection is completed by our township engineer, he said depending on the length of the road, condition of the road, whether it's a straight road or, grades and everything, the cost of inspection might range from $400 to $1,000.
And why should that be borne by the township?
No, there's no recommendation, it's a placeholder. That's why I'm getting your attention to it so that you guys can decide how it should be addressed. So the alternate to that is something to be considered, that if you don't The reason why we may require engineering inspection is because if the board wants to get a sense of how the grades or existing drainage conditions are, those kind of things, the ditches and everything are, then we need an engineer to provide that guidance. If the board feels like the cost might be a lot, or then the alternate is that, either the fire department or somebody does the inspection, but that will only include the dimensional kind of standard of the road. Just wanted to put those facts out there. So the other way to include the cost of such inspection, it could be part of an escrow and then passed over to the applicant. Just wanted to put that attention so that then if this is something that should be passed over to the applicant because he's splitting the lots, then we will revise it accordingly. And so two questions. Inspection by the engineer, yes or no? Who bears the cost?
Thoughts on that? Engineer versus.
Well, I think, in some of the cases, an engineer's obvious. In other cases, like 80% of the township's flat. It's the same thing with some county roads in general, as far as drainage goes. You can put limestone down. Other cases, like the Merkle Road's court case is classic, and Merkle Road, is that solution requires engineered drainage cuts. I think the engineer should be involved. We could leave it up to our discretion if we pass it to the applicant or we decide to pay for it. Also, is to have that option.
I just feel, Brent, that if they're applying for this their permit, they should pay for those fees.
Yeah, fair enough.
I don't think the other residents in the township should be saddled even with $1,000. I mean, for something that they're not going to benefit from.
Yeah, fair enough. We can change it. I'm fine with that if we want to change it to an escrow option.
I agree with Tony. I just wonder if we could break that up a little bit more, though. I mean, where you start talking about if it's required for a shared driveway as much. The shared driveway is way more limited than a private road.
I'm open to words it based on how the board would like that.
Bottom line is it should be an escrow account. So whatever goes in the escrow, whatever's not used for inspection goes back.
Yeah, our problem is if there's high grade, the likelihood that it doesn't get solved correctly is where the risk is.
Right.
Which is almost independent of how many other houses are there.
I do want to bring your attention to this point because when we did the vacant lot improvements, where we said you can build a house, but then we'll send a letter to the residents indicating how that happens. The current ordinance as it exists refers to the cost of inspection borne by the township. Do you guys want to revise it while we read it? That in that situation, the person is just trying to build a house, he's not splitting. That's the difference. And then if you do an inspection one time for a road, that kind of works for any time, any other vacant lot on the road.
Our thinking was, once the split happens is our trigger, that costs are going to get passed more to the applicant. As opposed to if it's existing now, that's where we drew the line on the whole grandfathering theme. And that's then consistent.
Yes, yeah. That was the part. I just wanted to, because it's such a similar standard, I wanted to make sure you understand that, there's that, we said that, we're treating those two differently for the reasons stated.
That's the existing lot one that's already on a constructed road.
Right.
Or driveway or
Right,
whatever.
it's just, all we're trying to do is build a house on a vacant lot, we said.
Yeah.
Okay. Bring it back. Okay, and then, so is the consensus that township engineer inspection?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, for me, yes.
So,
What does that cost?
She was talking about 600 to 1,000, you said, or 400?
he said 4 to 1,000, depending on the length of the road, the grades, and, so that would be a case-by-case basis. He said it's hard to put a fixed number, so that's what I was thinking, escrow, so that we would take a fixed number and then give back whatever's not used.
Engineers.
Right. So this is the gray part in the flow chart. Once we have the site inspection completed, we have the reviews completed, we schedule a board meeting. And then we send a notice to all the property owners on that road that there's a meeting happening and these 2 questions are going to be discussed. Any comments on C or D? Township then reviews 2 questions. So the question for your consideration at this time is, do you want a particular order, or do you want to review those when it comes to you? Do you want to do the required first or discretionary first? Or just so we are consistent, just so the agendas are consistent.
Seems like required should be first, right? It seems like required should be first.
Right, so.
Yeah, she's just asking a question.
If you do the required first, then I'll just swap the things in the flow chart. I just wanted to make sure. Okay, I would say, shall consider this first. Okay. There may be also a potential possibility that you will review it and then one is ready to move forward, the other one may be postponed. So that's why I said they both happen at the same time, but they'll be reviewed independently, but maybe considered during the same meeting. Okay. The disclosure to the purchaser, it was just carried over from previous discussion, no change. Okay, so we're good with 4.4? Okay. So 4.5, A, no change from last meeting, it's the same, the discretionary improvements. B, no change.
Yeah, B's the biggie, right? That's
That's a
here.
biggie. The post-approval plan requirements, I did change that a bit, because we did talk about, upon determination by the township board, the applicant shall submit conceptual plans to incorporate discretionary improvements. The board shall determine the level of detail required in such plans. Plans shall be subject to administrative review unless board review is requested or deemed necessary. So it's a lot of choices left for you to determine at that time. Whether you require conceptual drawings or whether you require a plan with notes indicating this area will be cleared, scaled or prepared by an engineer. This will help to make sure, depending on what you're asking, the burden on the applicant is similar.
Sri, can you scroll up to A real quick? Stop. Oh, wait a minute. Okay, keep going, sorry. A1.
Can move it all into one second.
Discretionary improvements?
Yeah. Yeah, see where it says intend to.
I don't know what happened, sorry, I'll just go back,
Oh, yeah.
sorry.
Yeah, I just want you to fix that typo real quick.
Okay,
See it, the second line, conditions intend to, correct?
Okay, maintenance agreement, we talked about that. That is revised based on last discussion. No new standards are introduced.
You gotta change the numbering on it.
Oh. No, not continue. Okay, enforcement, same as before. So this is something, if a maintenance agreement compliance with 3.2 does not exist, the board may require the property owners to enter into a maintenance agreement. But we're doing this enforcement only when somebody's asking for a land division. That's associated with that request. Any comments?
Just on the fence with that, just because after the fact, maintenance agreements are not.
Yes. That I definitely recommend once you have the final draft, when this is sent to the attorney for review, to get a little bit more legal guidance on the defensibility or the enforceability of that standard.
Maybe highlight it.
Right, that's a little above my, yeah. But that captures your intent, you just have to get your attorney's blessing on,
There's a typo on here too. Not here, in the flow chart.
Oh, okay. I do that to find a wall though.
On the green box, land division is 2 words.
Okay, I can, yeah, I'll note it down because I can fix it here.
Oh, yes.
Division.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah, but hold on, just on the maintenance agreement, though, it's just for the new parcels. Yeah, right, so it isn't as if you have to go up and down the road for folks that have been there.
Where?
I'm on page 26, paragraph 4.5, F.
Regions agreement.
All improved access areas, and must be entered into the finding on all new parcels.
What's the change?
No, there isn't. I was
Oh.
confirming with Jeff that it's for just the new parcels. It's not, if there's other folks on the road, you
Right.
do not have to go to them.
Okay, you done with 4?
Hey, hey, hey.
Hey. I have to say, I had to listen to my voice when I was working on the draft, and then I am sorry for you guys, but thank you for your patience. Okay, Article 5. So the big question. So in this section, because it's a general law ordinance, any appeals automatically come to you unless otherwise you send them to ZBA, just like with land division ordinance. In the land division ordinance, when the board adopted it, you said appeals go to ZBA. Here, this is consistent with how the appeals come to the board, but you do have a choice to say they go to ZBA. Or let them come to you because this is a tricky situation. We did include a little bit more guidance than what we had in the land division ordinance, where it's just one single line, go to ZBA. We did include some, standards and definitions of an aggrieved person briefly. This is also, again, something that needs to be discussed with an attorney because it has to do entirely with appeals and enforcement. I can take your comments, provide guidance, but then the final blessing should be of the attorney on this section.
Assistant, go ahead.
So on 5.1D, our standards of review discussion, should we be calling out there what our standards of review in a similar manner that we do in other portions?
Should we call them findings of? Sorry, Brian, if you don't mind, can you repeat the question, please?
Well, we're talking about standards of review during an appeal. It seems as if, similar to what we have for the variance question or in the other sections, there should be a reasonableness standard and so on, like we have.
I think the type of improvements is essentially standards of review. I can probably just change.
That's what I was thinking too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think because the type of improvements was included when I was thinking about minimum improvements, and then when the board said, no, not this, so I kind of, yes, that is standards of review.
Oh, so that references back to that paragraph?
Yeah.
Okay, all right, fine, I'm good then. And then I guess the last one, I guess it's general.
No, wait, that doesn't reference to anything. This stands on its own related to appeals in section Article 5. That standards of review is for the appeals only.
All right, and exactly what are the standards that are going to be used during the appeal? Is the question.
Unless it determines that the decision was based on error of law, was not supported by competent, I think I can break this down. So that's 1. That's 2, was not supported by competent, and constituted an abuse of discretion.
Yeah, so the question I heard, I'd like to see that written in a similar format and style, that we're doing all our standards of review. We have to answer these questions.
Yep.
Right,
If we answer all yes, it's something. We answer all no, it's something.
okay.
Yeah, probably got into bullets.
Yeah, right. Okay, so if somebody else reads this, they know exactly what the standards of review questions the board will be contemplating.
Yeah. I like it.
And does that mean all of the standards have to be met, or, you know, like, so if I'm reading it, I understand what this means?
So,
Oh, in this one, I think any one. If you say yes to any one of them, then,
it's
yeah.
an appeal.
Right.
That should be laid out, so people.
Okay.
so what she's doing, the other high level one is the, on 5.3A1 for the rest of the board, is what's a triggering event if there's a violation? Because right now, like A1's written generally, I've talked to Sri in the past about this, that's why I'm up on it, is, you know, do we wait till we have a complaint, for example, to do it? Because right now, a vast majority of all our existing roads that are being grandfathered in, you could argue that if you read this paragraph A1 in totality, at any given time, we could go out there and say, you know, this road doesn't meet it. Inadequately maintained fails to provide safe and reliable access for users, so on and so forth.
I think, if I'm understanding you correctly, this one, section 5.1, just talks about appeals. 5.3 talks about violations
Yeah, right.
that would initiate an enforcement. Appeals is only if there's an aggrieved party.
No, I understand that. I've jumped to 5.3.
Oh, okay.
So you were typing, so I jumped ahead.
Okay, sorry. Understood. Okay, so we're good with 5.1? Okay, 5.2?
So Sri, I have a question about this one.
Mhm.
Mike, I have a question about 5.1.
Oh, go ahead.
I do think we need to get the attorney's opinion, because I don't believe that the ZBA can rule on a police power ordinance.
We didn't push
I
it to the
believe that's
ZBA.
outside of their scope of authority.
Yes, I think that's a good question. If that question says the ZBA doesn't have the authority and police power, then we should probably fix that when we do the land division. Take the authority, bring the authority back to the board. Because that one's a police power ordinance as well, and that's referring appeals going to ZBA.
Because we didn't push the appeal to the ZBA here.
Yeah, we
This is
didn't.
still the board,
Yeah,
so-
this is still on the board. This still comes to the board, but I think John's referring to the comment I made that, you know, if you want, you can send it to ZBA, which is a good question. I think I will check with our attorney, and then depending on what the response is, we should fix the land division appeal. Sorry, I also jumped from one topic to the other because it's on in my head.
All right, so 5.2.
Okay.
A and B, is there a way to put them together?
Oh, yeah. Maintenance of existing requirements of law requirement. I think they're the same. I think we were trying around with the words.
I think you can eliminate A.
Yeah.
On, now, B, is it only for non-compliant? Or would it also be for non-conforming? And we should call those per the definition, so it's non-conforming access way. And that's another comment related to make sure we're using access way, access appropriately. And then the same comment is on the new C.
I do want to say this section was originally drafted by Matt, but we never got to reviewing it. But I still want to send it back with the changes. 5.3 violations.
So one, okay, so now back over here, one, and I guess I'm second with Brant's question about, so when?
Yeah, so right now, our current policies are has to be a complaint, right? Because right now, we don't send Chuck out, we start red tagging things. And I'm fine with that. I mean, it's consistent with,
I am kind of guessing that either the fire department would say something to us, or it'd be somebody on the road who would go, hey,
Yeah.
like we have.
All right.
But, either way.
you all right, Dan?
Well, that's what I mean, let's say at 9, well, we can break for 5.
Okay, gotcha.
Shut everybody went for water. Okay. Okay. Any other 5.3s?
I'm sorry, Mike.
Oh, go ahead.
So the question was, when can this be initiated and who can make the complaint?
Or if we're gonna do a complaint. Oh, no, I think, well, it'd be like whatever, the normal complaint thing was someone doing it. Because I think unless I'm wrong, Brant was saying was, we're not gonna go wandering.
Right.
Okay.
So we'll just keep it then as is.
Right.
And then when the board gets to determine their enforcement policy, that would apply to all,
Yeah,
that
that's
can be addressed at that time.
That'll help Chuck. Yeah, because I don't want him to come back and say, I can't enforce this.
So, okay, well, that's a really good question, Brant. So, when we look at it, does it look objective? Like, excessive erosion, are these something that, I mean, because we did ask before, like, make them so it looks like your road is a living nightmare, right? Like, so we don't go after regular potholes, we go after.
Right.
And as long as it looks like what you thought when we first talked about it. I think it's pretty good.
Yeah, I think well, there's a lot of legal language here. I mean, for me, if it's impassable for a fire truck or ambulance.
I mean, the key thing is the beginning of that, where it says fails to provide safe and reliable. And, I mean, for instance, if you look at, God, what's the road?
Merkle Court?
Yeah, Merkle Court. I mean, that it is not safe having that ditch going across there. I mean, it's obvious that that's the case. It limits how much you can get in there, what you can get in there. And it's, I mean, you didn't know that
I
was
looked
there.
at it.
It's flat out dangerous.
Okay.
So.
I like it the way it is.
That's the end of it.
All right. Ooh. Good. So now here comes the crazy question. Can you guys come up with a date for the public discussion? Which is our next item.
If I may, I also have one more question for you to consider. Who do I send this to for the legal review?
Oh, Matt's been helping.
Okay.
Okay. So, the date. I'm here.
Yeah, so you're thinking, so the 19th is our board meeting next month, right?
20th.
It says it-
Oh, excuse me, 20th, I can't be. What were you thinking, like, the week of the 12th?
Oh, no, I mean, I'm literally like, because you guys are,
Yeah, I'm open.
I'm looking at you and Dan and Jonathan.
No, I'm in town. I mean, week of the 12th is fine, week of the 26th is fine, week of the 19th is fine.
Can we do it the week of 26th? Just so it's not overloaded with meetings on, because I have planning commission on 21st, board on 20th. And we'll have CBA and Parks Committee meeting the week before, the second week. So second and third weeks, I'm like,
It's fine with that, it's fine with me.
And the 19th, we're closed.
Yeah.
It's my meeting.
oh, right.
Actually, it says it on my phone too.
You want to do it at the end of the month?
Yeah, I mean, you could consider it a Saturday afternoon too.
I'm literally open.
No.
No? Okay.
I'm looking at the people and people's jobs. What I'm doing. What do you got, Dan? Anything in particular?
Which week are we looking at?
The week of the 26th.
Monday, Wednesday? 28th?
Let's do Wednesday.
I prefer Monday, but that's okay. Probably me. Go ahead.
I'm like lost.
Set
Are we
it to
anything?
28.
Are we?
Set it to 28.
7?
Okay. What about you, Shelley?
Yeah, I can, it's just a little tough.
Do you have a?
So because that's an item and that will be a special meeting, I don't need a motion.
Okay. If someone would like to move, please.
So moved.
Second.
Okay, I guess it's all in favor? Yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? No. Okay.
So Jan 28th, 7 PM?
Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay,
It shouldn't be that bad, I really shouldn't be that bad. 7's good.
7's good. Okay, Jan 28th, 7 PM. And then maybe at the next meeting, you guys can give me a little bit guidance on, rules of procedure so that I can publish them.
We have to come up with these. Okay, can we take a 5-minute break? Yes, please. And then we'll have Dan, tell us all about it.
That's perfect. This cookie has been just tempting.
Extra cookies are great.
Thank you.
Might have another.
Yes, sir?
Hello, Mr. Webster.
Haven't seen you in
I did, yeah. I heard you were tending the fire again.
Yeah.
It was colder this year, I think, than last year.
That was pretty,
Yeah.
that would require an employee.
Pretty brutal.
So, fire department.
Oh. Yeah, not happy about that. Yeah.
But the fire board is like, so totally out of line. Yeah, fire board is included, so like, number one, the fire board is created by the automobile agreement. So it's subordinate to that. And number two,
I can look into that.
where was I?
It can be, we will see if
They're just totally out of their line,
IT and everything.
making a recommendation to be done.
But you cannot take.
That's why I voted for it. The interlocal agreement is our check.
Because that was only allowed in police.
I'm sure I'm gonna get it.
And you can,
Established
if
the
you're
fire.
able to stream
There was
it,
only one fire station, no full-time personnel. And it was retired.
There's the math for you.
Oh, I'm not gonna, that's your job.
No, I'm not
talking.
You just have to know what
That's, I don't have anything to say about language. So, I'm talking.
I'm gonna have one. These are phenomenal.
So, I think this is what they're going to approve it. You approve it, do you?
My problem is that I have two people at home, so I got
Significant additional no improvement. The whole situation, you said, you just, every month, and at the end of the year, we were all never a complaint. Never a complaint. So, the city and Webster Township, they continue with their building. The city builds condos, they built their drug rehab house. Some more uses
hard to follow.
now they're complaining. They don't give me much, and I still because they consider us a cash. They look at our SEC.
Good.
And I think we're in the world. These guys can afford to pay I think there are
Thank you.
make a component they don't realize.
They're the other side.
Yeah, because the city does think fastest response,
Friends,
the best service.
No, they're just car friends, you know.
They have for all
So
of
it
the
was,
time.
it was a really, really good trip. Sounds like it
And yet they place no premium on that whatsoever.
So they, another one of the
Imagine.
AI generated stuff. I'm talking to Steve about
They just have a negative view. And my recommendation is
the picture that you made of me.
Quantity of brownies since morning.
You know what agreement?
And make them
Anybody back here want to?
Simple if you're in the middle. I don't think it's that
Oh, I'm so sorry. I know.
That's why I voted the way I did.
I know, I heard. I saw that, I know.
I never did anything on the third coming
And it's
back.
right.
How do you guys want me to vote?
Good? I know. Good.
So I will look for the actual.
Hey, just a quick one.
Yes.
Yeah, I know. Not happy about it.
It's temporary. They suggested.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, Bill, is she done? Can we unplug this and get rid of it? Yeah, she presented.
So gonna need a firefighter tank.
Wednesday or Thursday. Wednesday or Thursday.
Yeah, I'd like to get it.
You need to get the software, the TV we need to get the software.
I don't know what to do.
There's flashes and then there's one where you just plug those keys, USB port, and because then anybody can.
Man, you've got lifesavers.
Right, doesn't.
I did lifesavers.
I work at a place where in the office locations, you know, all over Detroit and wherever I go.
No, it's.
Oh, you're very welcome. Oh, thank you.
There you are. There you are. You should be here every month.
Past my bedtime.
I'm like, he's done his time.
Chipotle. This is their Chipotle.
All right, wait, now I'm listening.
Brandon, Jeff, for Brandon, Matt.
God.
Oh.
Well, there's Chipotle in that. Somebody left right there. You got it. Oh, memorandum.
Almost always says.
Okay. Fire department.
Okay, so EAFD cost allocation. The situation is such that the city and maybe the Dexter Township would like to have the cost allocation reviewed, changed, so to make it a little more evenly split, if you will. Historically, the cost allocation, and right now, the interlocal basis is on, totally on runs. So, number of runs divided by, you know, the total per township is what, per city is what you pay. So, right now, there's been a trend that more runs are in the city, and thus their cost, their share has been increasing. And as you all know, we've built a station, Webster Township built a station, and we're now fully staffing them, which drives the overall cost up. And that is, from the city's perspective, they're feeling the pinch. So, the mayor has been talking about this for some time, and at the last DAFD meeting, he asked that there be a discussion, and that the DAFD board, what he wanted was that we would make a recommendation that each municipality would then review and decide on their own. And so, whether you really agree with, I mean, so the question is, you know, whether the DIP board could actually make that recommendation and what value it actually holds. So it's really putting the question out to the municipalities, how do we want to fund the fire department program? That's a high-level question. And then specifically for this next fiscal year, the city and, you know, to a lesser extent, Webster Township are looking for relief, if you will. That's the bottom line. And so there was a proposal that the allocation, the cost for the fiscal year 26 be based 50% just, you know, split evenly between the three as a readiness to serve factor, if you will, and the other 50% be based on the actual number of runs, how it's historically been done. And so that was what the motion was made, that did pass through DAFD, in part so that it would just go to the municipalities for their review, discussion, and, you know, vote or resolution if they care to do so. So, if that makes sense, that I think is what I would
Thank you.
share with you. And John may have different thoughts or perspective.
Well, I unfortunately missed the last meeting.
Doesn't mean you can't have thoughts.
The only thing I would add to what you said was it's not just the run rate that's pinching the city, it's also, they've always had the same amount of staffing, and yet we, as a fire department, added staff. We also, in the last contract negotiations, agreed to significant wage increases for 3 years in a row. And so the personnel cost has gone up because headcount has gone up and wages have gone up. And yet they've had no change in the level of staffing in the city.
Right. And just for reference, I guess, and perspective, the townships prior to being fully staffed have, you know, you could argue, been subsidizing the city to a certain extent in that we hadn't been receiving the same level of service. Now that's a theoretical question, debate, but it's just a point of information.
I was going to say the same thing, but I have another question too. So,
I wonder if you would like to have, so Mr. Westman's also on the fire board.
Correct.
If you wanted to say anything as far as augmenting or what Dan and I have said.
Did you want to finish your question? John Westman, 8130 Chamberlain Road, Dexter. Also a current appointee on the GAFD Administrative Board. Supervisor D'Angelo asked me to be available tonight to answer some questions and maybe to provide some input. The fire board did approve a motion to recommend that the municipalities approve a funding model, as Dan mentioned, 50% based on runs, 50% allocated equally across the board. I voted no. And the reason I voted no on that, two reasons. Number one, the fire board, in my view, is responsible for the administration of the fire department. And I don't believe that it has any role in intruding into municipal matters. And number two, it is not in the interests of my constituents here in Webster Township to have an increase in our allocation of $100,000 a year. We will receive no additional services for that, and it just is not in our best interests. All three municipalities have to approve this change, otherwise it will not happen. So it's not a matter of majority rules in this place, this situation. So my recommendation on this is that number one, I do believe that the interlocal agreement is archaic, and there is probably opportunity to visit it and potentially make some changes. But I don't agree with just arbitrarily changing the funding model just on the spur of the moment without any serious consideration. And I would point out that this is supposedly for a one-year period, but these things always evolve from that. If it's approved for 1 year, you can be assured that it will be on a permanent basis. So I'm available to answer any questions. Mr. Sharp has got all of the funding information. I'm guessing that you also have it. And so with that, I'll be interested to hear the discussion.
Yeah.
Thanks, John.
Okay, so, right now, if we're looking at the cost between the municipalities, we just, to Dan's point, which was also on my mind, we just increased our ability to serve, right? So how many staff do we have? Two at any given time, right? How many staff does Dexter have?
Well, they would have the two, and then they would have the chief, and they might have the assistant chief.
You say Dexter, Dexter City or Dexter Township?
Dexter City.
Sorry.
Yeah.
And because my concern is, we're bigger than they are, like in terms of, I guess, area, but also we have more people, and we have less runs. And we haven't been given the same, it certainly has not been equitable up until, recently when we have gotten to be able to hire more. So if we're supporting the cost of them having, I do get the fire chief and the assistant chief, we should have a shared cost in that, that makes sense to me. But if we're supporting them to have 4, and we're paying 50% of their 4 off, firemen, and we have 2, or fire people, then I don't think that's fair. But it seems like, all 3 of us have 2? And then the chief and the assistant chief.
Yeah. Administration is at the main station.
Okay. Which is Dexter.
Yes, but we paid the penalty for years on run times. I mean, the reason the motivation for building this is like everybody up there on Valentine, up in the northeast corner, was waiting a long time for service.
Yeah.
More than twice as long.
Right. But yet that one run counts as a run. 5-minute run in Dexter is the same as a 20-minute run up to.
Yeah, except for now it isn't, and we're still using.
Right now they want to change the funding.
Yeah.
So, if I may, I read the minutes, the draft minutes from the meeting that I missed, but It's my understanding that the 50% even splits was on the premise of preparedness or readiness. Is that correct?
Yes, as I think, you understand, a lot of the fire service is being prepared, it's not actually, taking action. So that is part of the argument that people are presenting, that, well, even when we're not making runs, we're still doing work to be ready to make those runs.
And I think there's merit to that argument, but 50% seems 100% arbitrary to me.
Well, it may be arbitrary, but the chief at that meeting was making noise that it was more like 80%. So what is the percentage? I don't know. I mean, you could go through the financials and hours time spent. If you're only recording the actual time jumping into your gear to the time you remove your gear versus all the other time, readiness is going to be really high.
Well, excuse
So,
me.
let me just continue. So, other avenues to try to provide cost allocation is based on SEV, based on population, based on the size of your property. I mean, all these other things that likely will will be, if you use those metrics, Webster is going to be high. So keeping a model simple is probably beneficial to us if we're moving away from totally basing on runs. And I'll just also add, I'm sorry, Tony, that there has been an effort by the other two entities to try to get together to talk about the interlocal adjusting, the model for it, whether it's interlocal or an authority, which then can tax, and that of course is going to impact Webster greater based on our higher SED, and as well as a few other things. So that's just in the background for people to know.
Well, I just wondered what they lumped into the readiness category. What all did they consider readiness? Just the fact that
I don't think that the question hasn't been analyzed. It's just taking the total spending plan and saying 50% of it is.
That's like doing heart surgery with a spoon.
Well, if you want to dig into the details, and if you're
Yeah.
trying to figure out a readiness factor, it's going to be higher than 50%.
Depends on what you consider readiness, Dan.
Well, Tony, in the fire service, if you are doing anything to prepare yourself, that's trying to be ready to be prepared. And if you factor, even sleeping is being ready. So if you're sleeping 8 hours and you're on a run for 1 hour, that's how you have to look at it.
Well, is then, are we going to reach the point then where we consider our fire station and the maintenance of the building readiness? Because it is, under that philosophy, that palace that Dexter, the city, is building is part of readiness.
And they are responsible, as are we, for our own building.
Correct, but
So
are
it's
we
not
moving
in
in
the-
that direction?
That is not in the budget.
Yeah, I'm sorry. This seems like a very interesting point at which to decide that we need to change our allocation model when they're over budget by $8 million on the building.
It's been brewing for some time.
Do we make any distinction at all between the type of runs, like the little EMS truck going out versus the giant fire engine, the pick-me-up off the floor versus the burning barn?
No, and that's probably part of a broader discussion that the other, Dexter has been trying to organize for a lengthy time.
Yeah.
Well, it wasn't that long ago when we had an alarm every firefighter that was on duty was called to the run, regardless of what station they were located at. Now that we have 6 full-time firefighters on duty, we have the opportunity to have some people stay at their station and be ready in the event of 2 calls happening at the same time, which does happen. So what happened before is you had to take a fire truck to help somebody get off the floor because you needed to be prepared to go to a fire from there rather than go back to the station and get the other apparatus.
How are other communities solving it? We can't be the only ones who have this problem. How are other communities solving the problem of are they just hiring more people who are then in specialties, or what are they doing?
Well, other entities are more likely to be a sole township or a sole city.
But they're still going to have the same problem. They're going to have the picking up off the floor
Well, okay,
versus the burn.
but they are paying for it, so it doesn't, I mean, I understand your point, but
Well,
that's,
it depends on.
if
whether
we
they-
have our own fire department, we're gonna, and we're paying for it all, 100%.
Mhm.
So yes, you can break out, oh, well, that's a slip and fall pickup versus a heart attack versus a fire, and charge different, internal components to that, but it's still gonna cost us what it costs to provide the service.
You mean if, what you're saying is if we had our own fire department, if Webster Township had their own fire department?
Correct.
That would be, well.
And that is an outcome that we may come across should, or we tandem with Dexter. The city may, if we can't agree to something, they may say, well, we're out, and we'll do something else. And that's the threat, in my words.
So the threat then would be that we would have to, if that was the case, then we would have to potentially partner with Dexter Township,
Or Northfield,
or what?
or we go east, Northfield.
Well, I mean, yeah, we could develop some other, agreement with the SIO or whatever. But then we would have to come up with our own administrative
Yes.
costs.
But I still think we should see how other communities do it. We can't be the only interlocal agreement in the state, and we can't be the only ones having these kinds of issues. So we should look and see how other communities are addressing this.
I lost my train.
Sorry.
Sorry.
I'm sorry.
Let me come back to it.
This is the question I think Tony was asking, total costs. What exactly are total costs? So it excludes building maintenance, that was the obvious red herring to point out. But is it, I don't see a spreadsheet or anything in here as to what total costs are.
Oh, you mean, what is the $4.3 million going to?
Well, we're talking, that's your spreadsheet?
Yeah. It's right here.
We're splitting, the 50% of the total costs are based on equal shares.
So the way that the fire department operates financially is that the chief prepares a budget, which we call a spending plan, because the revenue is automatically matching the spending, right? So the budget planning is all on the expense side. The expenses that the chief is forecasting tentatively is $4.3 million for next year.
Yeah,
And it's a question of how does that get divided by the 3 municipalities that are paying that total amount.
yeah, right, so 50% of it's split amongst them, so 4.1 million in assets, how equally distributed are they amongst?
Well, that's expense, that's all expense.
For that expense, how equally distributed is that expense amongst the 3 municipalities?
By runs.
It's all done by runs.
right now. I mean, but when he puts his budget together for his readiness question.
No, he's looking, how many heads do I have? What are their pay rates? How many hours are they gonna work?
Is there depreciation of the trucks, for example? involved?
There's expense in there for maintenance and operation of equipment, but by and large, the biggest expense is personnel.
And apparatus.
Buying apparatus, but even that's a small part. We're looking at a capital budget for this coming year of $312,000 out of $4.3 million.
Not 4.7. Thank you. Okay. And that gets back to Shelley's question, right? You were doing that. Where's everybody?
I'm personally, I'm open to refreshing and renegotiating the model, not just funding though. We've been talking as a fire board about how some members of the fire board think that the interlocal is time for an update. Mayor Keogh only ever talks about the formula for funding. And so there has been sort of a split on what we're going to talk about. I'm open to equal shares on something known as readiness, personally. I think 50% is arbitrary. I'm disappointed to hear that the chief weighed in because it shouldn't matter to him where the dollar comes from as long as he gets the 4.3 million. He should be agnostic on which municipality pays. I found my train now. What I was going to talk about is the worst case scenario is if somebody leaves. I want all three of us to stay in this agreement. However, if somebody decides to leave, they leave with no assets except their fire station. The trucks and the firefighters all stay with the DAFD. So if the city felt like they had no other choice, or they were angry, or whatever was their motive, and they decided to leave, we might find ourselves in a tug of war, but the DAFD would continue to exist. The fact is that municipalities have left the DAFD before, and that's why the terms are what they are today, because it makes it very painful for somebody to leave.
Who left? Nothing. Oh, you said somebody left the DA? Nobody's left the DA.
Yeah, a few.
Oh, okay, fair enough. I thought maybe so. What do you think, Mike?
Well, first of all, the reason I haven't talked to, like, Sean is because I was waiting for us to figure out what we would like. Because it doesn't make a whole lot of sense. For example, if someone would like to give me a motion to not have a fire authority, at least I'd have a decision to, like, you know what I mean? I need parameters. I did talk to, I'm not particularly interested in paying for the city of Dexter's mistakes. However, I did talk to Lonnie about, like, the township, about, like, I'm also open to some kind of other thing to make, I do have I mean, it's kind of weird, and it's just personal, it's just me, and I did say, oh, it's just me. Like, for example, they have senior housing, which is why the runs are high, right? And I find that extremely important, and we don't offer that service. Like for any, you know, like we just don't have that. So, to me anyway, like, that to me is worth, like, okay, so it should be fair to you. You're helping what I think is like the whole community by having that where it is. And we just don't have anything right there. Me personally, nothing to do with an authority. But that's why I'm finding this, like we got really lucky, we have 3 people on it who don't really agree. So I'm having a really hard time figuring out, I mean, I try to listen to everybody's expertise.
Yeah, I'm in the camp of John.
Me too.
I feel like we've been underserved for quite a while.
Okay.
you know, we saved all this money to build the firehouse to decrease run times. Now that's showing up as an extra expense on their side, so to come up with what Tony's getting, the math looks a little magical to me, it gets to the result. Now, so Doug sounds like he might be interested in joining Dexter City and having their own fire department. He's getting up saying some of those things, it's my suspicion, or I wonder. But I can't be justified in increasing, you know, our expense by another 100,000 here. The fire expense is enormous, what we're spending now. You know, and then now it's going to go up further.
I agree with you, but I have to be conscientious of the idea that Dan's point is really relevant. If we don't actively advocate for what we want to see happen as a funding change, somebody backs out, that's expensive. If we don't advocate and a change gets made and it's by SEV and we lose that vote, or, you know, almost every other funding option mentioned is still way more expensive for Webster. Again, it's us funding the surrounding areas based on SEV or number of people or whatever. So I think I'm for changing the funding arrangement, but I don't know, to Mr. Westman's point, if that's the fire board's job.
Yeah, right, I don't think it is.
It is not the fire board's
Yeah, and so
responsibility.
yeah.
It is each municipality needs to make a decision on whatever it is. And, you know, a counterpoint, Mike, you know, we have a very successful farmland open space preservation program, which we are taxing ourselves to, you know, slow development. So, you know, to your point, yes, they have services that are beneficial for our community overall. Maybe we should be helping support that. But on the other hand, we're providing vistas and open space for people when they're driving through, and, you know, that has value too. So,
And the water.
yeah.
What is the run rate breakdown here recently? Is that in here?
It's not, that came.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Right now, I mean, a few years ago, it was pretty much thirds. And, you know, historically, I think, John, you did a chart a while ago, that was on a 10-year average, it pretty much is thirds, which is even. Right now, the runs trending is going the other way. It doesn't, you know, that's the beauty of the run allocation is you call for service, you get service, you pay for service. And that could all flip. And we could be at 36%, in which case we're going to be paying a boatload more.
Well, if you look at the curves, the first 5 years of the last 10 years, the city's run rate was going down. It went down consistently every year for 5 years, and for the last 5 years, it's been going up consistently every year for 5 years. They were not complaining about the run rate when it was going down every year for 5 years, but now they're complaining when it's going the other way. So that's why I'm open to the notion of making it based almost solely on run rate, but doing it on a multi-year average as opposed to 1 year, because you can have whiplash. If you look, and whiplash, if you look at the numbers I put together, you've got a 12% increase of the operation cost, but the city share is a 21% increase.
Right.
That's the whiplash of getting hit by increased cost compounded by increased run rate. And Webster has had that exact same experience.
So what's the answer to the question? Like last year, for example, what was it, Dan? How much were we? 30? Were we 33%? 35%?
So far this year,
It's on that table. There's the share for 2025 and 2026.
yeah, so through November, which is, I don't know if those are your numbers, John, but the city is at 37.6, Dexter Township's 34.1, and Webster's 28.3.
My decimals are off a little bit from that.
Yeah, I mean, it'll change slightly with this month.
Have you ever done a calculation, John, where, how about this total run time? Run rate times run time. I mean, how many hours are people spending in trucks servicing each
Yeah, but
municipality?
that's not really what you're paying for. Whether they're driving 2 miles or 8 miles, that's not what you're paying for.
run times.
The penalty for our residents previously was how long you had to wait. So that maybe means you were more disabled because of the stroke you had, or you didn't survive your heart attack. I mean, that's the penalty that we paid with a 20-minute response time in the northeast.
Yeah, so I mean, I was gonna say run time in the inverse. If you invert the run time, it should be a penalty factor for, we should.
So this is the discussion that the city has been asking the entities to have, to get together, to talk about what can we do? What are some ideas? What does Webster want? What does Webster Township want? What does the city want? And that has been a struggle to get people together. So in the interim, this is what happened, was there was
Next
you know,
year, right, for next year.
proposal to help the city out for a year, is basically what it is.
So I did print out the fire board packet for the meeting that we're gonna have day after tomorrow. And we get this dashboard report in the fire board packet. So for the past month, Dexter City's average response time was 6 minutes 41 seconds. Dexter Township was 9 minutes 42 seconds, and Webster Township was 9 minutes 49 seconds. So we're waiting about 50%, not quite 50% longer as a resident when we call the fire department. Now that's just 1 month. Some months they're all the same, some months the city slowed. That's just 1 month's snapshot.
So, Jeff, I have not heard anything from you yet.
I haven't been able to get a word in yet. I didn't want to interrupt anybody.
Go ahead, Chuck,
I
please.
was just waiting for a lull in the act.
Okay.
Yeah, I find it funny that they want to go to the model now, because if we would have talked about readiness 10 years ago, they would have picked up 50%. Dexter alone would have picked up 50%, and then we would have done the runs. You could also look at it the same way as we all have 2 firemen and a fire station, so it's a wash. You could and base it on runs. I mean, the bottom line is when you, I still like the run model just because, and I like your idea, John, of evening it out and going with a multi-year average, so then you don't have those
You don't have
spikes.
the whiplash.
I agree with that. I think that's a good option. Bottom line is it comes down to use, and that's why I like the run model. And we all have a fire station with 2 firefighters stationed at it all one time. At that point, the only difference is the amount of runs you have. And I like that base model. And I do feel a little slighted because we did support them in the past with that kind of thing. There was discussion that they knew that that was the case, and that when we were, and of course I think there's been a change of guard since then, I know there has here, but when we finally got our 2 firefighters, now all of a sudden there's an issue. Now, whether that correlates with other things or not, I don't know, but 100,000 is a lot of money. My next question is, we've talked about the rate that we've been changing the safety millage. Can we support that with our safety millage, lifting it up? Starting now, are we gonna run out by the time we get
Oh, I don't know.
to the end of it?
I don't, we could do it for 1 year for sure, but I don't know that we could do it for the next, whatever, 8 years or whatever's left on the millage.
Yeah, well, we started playing with these numbers before with our plan. You want to start going up to the full millage pretty quick. You don't want to get behind. That's what that shows.
And I just get afraid that I understand and I agree with you that if we don't take or consider negotiating and doing something here, that things could change. Somebody could bow out, we could be in a worse position. But I think if this goes, I also get afraid that they're gonna come in next year and say, hey, we think that the readiness factor should be 60%, 70%, 80%, and then just flat out split it by 3s. Doesn't matter where the runs are. And the fact is, it's about use. I mean, yeah, I mean, we've got a readiness factor, but I think it's how much it is. We can't compare to run times, personally. I mean, they have a city. So, you know, they have like how many miles?
2 square miles.
2 square miles, and we've got 36.
Well, and let me ask this question too, alongside that. So our run time, the time to get there is longer, but how's that calculated? Because sometimes we're supporting another fire somewhere else, or our fire people are in Dexter, or, and I assume that would happen more often because they have more runs than we do. I don't know, I see the shared, you know, the shared events. Does that impact our run time? Does that impact our ability to get fire trucks to our homes when there's a fire?
So I think that's another good
And we're
question.
paying for those anyway. Ultimately, you know, we're supporting them one way or the other.
When we see run
Are
times,
you talking about mutual aid?
Yeah, yeah. And I guess I see that more often, well, I don't know, I notice it more with the sheriffs, but I'm sure it happens with the fire too.
It does.
Yeah.
that's a good question when you're talking about mutual aid or you talk about our, I don't want to get into the runtime thing, but when you do start discussing that, when they have a run listed, let's say they have 40 and we have 30, but were any of those runs with our people or Dexter Township's people, were they polled, and vice versa, we could have had a fire that we could have polled their people. But when those are reported, do those weigh the same as a single engine or a single crew from here? Do they weigh the same? Should they weigh the same? Because it is actually more use.
Right, our people aren't available to us, if we're, which is fine, if we're supporting your run, and so how often are we supporting your run?
Right, and I'm not against
I'm
supporting
not
people's
against
runs,
anything,
you gotta
yeah.
have mutual aid kind of thing, but it's,
Yeah,
those, I think that's an under-reporting thing. It's counted as a run, but it could be everybody going on the run.
That's interesting, yeah.
Okay, so, because it's getting late, and we don't have to technically make a vote today, although I would entertain any motion anyone would like.
Well, hold on here.
Yeah, okay, great.
I can't get over John's comments about, I think the fire board's drifting out of their lane with, no pun intended, I guess, with motivation from the city and some of their fiscal problems. Yeah, yeah. And this readiness thing, I think is too nebulous, as point Tony was getting at. And then, once if those two observations are in place, how on earth can we possibly agree to get all, the math then works out that we have to spend another $100. I think our position should be, we understand the threat, which what it is if they're gonna go. I think it almost gives us an opportunity, if they do wanna go, if we do wanna reconstitute ourselves. John, you touched on this before, you remember Carol, when we first started thinking about building that firehouse, she didn't wanna do it. I remember she said most of our runs are ambulance related, fire is expensive. Right now, look at the expenses of the fire department, some of it I think is getting out of whack. Where our biggest need is ambulance. We need fire trucks, there's no doubt about it. But do we need it to the point where we've spent, in the last 10 years, we have the organization has spent over, what, $10 million probably? We spent $4 on that. And our budget this year is another $4. I mean, so I'm in a position, I'd be happy to move to the
I'll entertain any motion, if you'd like to move.
I mean, I don't know what that's where I land. If other folks are there, I think letting it continue to drag on, it's gonna keep happening. Been underserved for years, now to the point where it's somewhat equitable, we get this. I mean, that is not coincidence in my mind. So I moved to deny.
Any second?
I'll second it.
Okay. I think we kind of discussed it already, but if anyone would like more discussion.
I just, I'm not happy about it. I mean, originally, I think there probably is a need to sit down and talk about it. But I I think them asking us, they're obviously all getting a savings and we're getting hit. So, I mean, for them, it's beneficial for them to absolutely do this. For us, it's definitely not. And I think we have a bunch of things to look at, you know, as we talked about. What are the readiness things? What is, when you have runs, how many engines or how many people really go on it? Is there a way to defer some costs, right? Like we talk about for ambulance, and I know that they have policies that they show up for any call or what. I don't even know what the involvement is with the emergency services are, but they've got their own policies and regulations that they utilize. Be nice to know what those are. I'm up for talking about it, like, and I like the model, as I mentioned before, that John brought up. I think that helps with the spike. Is it gonna be $100,000 on us? No, but, I mean, we would pick up more of it, but we also have the millage that we have to keep that in mind, and if we go this route, and then they come back at us another year from now saying, hey, the readiness cost went up, so everybody's got this much now. I mean, I don't think that we can support it.
Yeah, so we looked at that. There is some headroom, but there's not a ton.
Yeah. Okay.
So I just want to be clear on the motion. The motion is to say no to the fire board's recommendation that we approve this one-year modification. We're not saying no to the idea that we'll come back to the table with the appropriate people, not the fire board, and have a conversation about a funding model and maybe debate that. But we're not necessarily approving the fire board's recommendation at this point. That's what this motion is.
And to be clear, the fire board did not make a recommendation. It was a discussion that the boards should review a suggested model for 1 year as it was laid out.
Okay, there's nothing else. Roll call?
Aye.
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 No.
Aye.
Okay, so now, it is 10 o'clock. I have how long do you think? 45 minutes?
I think that's probably accurate.
All right, so,
Shall we go into closed session and perhaps postpone a number of these items?
that's what I would like.
Actually, I don't think we should go into closed session until we have the discussion about the attorneys.
Do you guys want to postpone the other two?
So,
Public nuisance in the moratorium?
so public nuisance has been waiting for approval for probably the last 2 sessions.
Sheree said that it wasn't ready. Thank you.
Yeah, I did not,
Thanks, John.
if you were talking about it, so I did not include a resolution of adoption at this time,
Okay.
because towards the end of the public nuisance recommendation, planning commission included one suggestion for the board to consider, to add that right to farm exception to the animal noise section. So what I thought today was maybe, if you guys, how about this? If you guys want to indicate whether you want to add that provision, and then I can bring back resolution at the next meeting. And you can talk about, or you can just postpone it, but it's not ready for adoption right now, because that one question needs to be answered. If you answer that question, I can bring it back for adoption at the next meeting.
So what was the question?
So if you look at your packet,
The question is, can we add to the or change the nuisance ordinance so that the animals are removed, the right to, animals that are in a farm, right to farm, don't count as nuisance noise?
so if you look at my memo, where is it?
I think that's, isn't that move?
Can you say move?
Yeah.
So funny.
Okay, so if you look at my memo, the second page of my memo, that's the recommendation the planning commission made to section 6CI.
So the only change in section 60I is the last paragraph, right?
Right.
Yeah, that's underlined.
That's what the PC said you should consider it, because that was not part of the guidance they received. The guidance PC received is just amend the animal nuisance part of it, so they just wanted to see.
So you need a motion, one way or the other, that says we approve of this change to section 6C1. That's what you need?
I don't need a motion, yes. Okay, I need a motion where you say to add this to the recommended language for consideration at the next meeting.
Okay.
And then you can look at the recommended language along with this at the next meeting.
Okay, so I move that we add, amend section 6CI, animal noise, to include the fourth paragraph in the upcoming draft. Is that right? Yeah.
No, close enough.
Okay, so the second read, oh, I'm sorry, I'll wait until somebody seconded.
All right,
I'll second.
all right. Discussion on that? Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Just a little follow-up comment. The other reason why this is not ready for adoption, because this wasn't sent for attorney for his review yet.
Okay. All right, so I have a motion from Tony to postpone.
Moratorium.
But because I just suggested,
Oh, okay.
so Shelley does not want to postpone the remainder and go into closed session until we talk about the retention for lawyers. Is everybody happy that, or would they go along with, which one would that leave them? It goes temporarily suspending the moratorium on
Right.
land division acts.
Yeah, that's the only one that's left.
That we haven't touched on.
I'm okay if you want. It's up to you.
Yeah, we're here. I mean, I'm fine with, I don't know if you want another 4 hours, but talking another 10, 15 minutes on these, I think it's worth it.
No.
So when planning commission's going to be addressing this, right? The land division, are we going to be talking about that? Wasn't that a request?
So that was my question. I didn't have an item for my comments. So Tony made a comment at the beginning of the meeting that the planning commission should look into, the different adjustment and boundary thing. But that was just comment from one board member. But it's not a motion or a discussion for the entire board. Maybe we should add that to the agenda and then give a formal recommendation to the PC. PC has been asking for something in writing before they take on an amendment.